Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. My name is Tony Butler. I'm one of the life sales director here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and I have Kellen with Allianz, and we're going to talk about today some tips and tricks, if you will, with the Allianz software. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. A couple of things I want to point out in terms of what we offer here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services. If you've worked with us here recently or in the past, then you know about a lot of this. And if this is your first time on a webinar, um, we definitely have some additional perks, if you will. So in saying that, first and foremost, would like to help you earn as much money as possible, and we can do that in multiple ways. We have multiple avenues for that. That's in addition to writing business with any of the carriers that we work with. One of which is our new producers bonus, builders bonus that we have available. As you see here, there are 5 different levels depending on your production. There's additional perks, if you will, to help you grow your business. If you have any questions on our new producers builders, feel free to reach out to us. Be more than happy to discuss this with you in great detail. But as you see, there's things from mailing pieces to seminar information, as well as some marketing reimbursement dollars that we offer. We also have our business builders, which is a referral program that we have available for all of our advisors. So if you do refer an advisor to us and that agent gets appointed with any of the carriers that we work with, you will get a one-time bonus for that referral. And then there's additional money that's paid out to you based on any of the business that they write. So be sure to talk to any agents that you're working with that's looking for another IMO to work with. We'd be more than happy to get them set up here. And then as a thank you, provide additional monies for you. We also offer you back office support. We like to tell all our advisors that we want you to work smarter, not harder. So with that, there's several business building tools that we have available. You have the ability to have us do quotes for you. There's paperless contracting that's available for you. We want to work with you all the way from submissions to commissions. And in saying that, we have a website that's available with a lot of sales materials available to you. There's excellent sales tools available. If you are writing life business, we do have quote quote engine available for you where you can do term and universal life quotes. You can access forms online. There's current annuity news, annuity grid, long-term care information, a lot of sales information available on our website. If you need a tutorial as far as walking through the website and showing you what we do have available, please reach out. Be more than happy to kind of walk you through the different areas that you can utilize within the website. We also offer paperless application or EAPS. We've got a couple of platforms that we utilize for EAPS. We have Firelight and iPipeline. The majority of the life carriers that we work with are through iPipeline. There are a few that are with Firelight, but all of our annuity EAPS are through Firelight. As you see, there's a list of carriers that we work with there. These can be accessed through the IAMS website. If you haven't registered for Firelight, give us a call. Be happy to walk you through getting registration submitted so you're able to do those EAPS. We also have a creative marketing solutions department. They can help you whether it's turnkey agency or digital solutions. What that means is if you need assistance as far as handouts or flyers, you're looking for logo design or redesigning your current logo, business cards, you're looking to get into the digital marketing space, we can help out with websites, digital marketing strategies. Reach out to your marketer, your sales director. What we can do is a market analysis, which takes about 20-30 minutes, kind of go over your business, see what you're currently doing, find some areas of opportunities for you in that, and hopefully help you grow your business. The key is to keep moving forward and increasing your business. So definitely reach out to us for that. Then we also have the IAMS Wealth Management team. So if you have higher revenue clients, our wealth management team can assist you with that. Charles Jr. and his crew be more than happy to work with you on that. And we've noticed and have seen where it's increased revenue for the advisors as well as improved client retention and strengthen relationships with the clients. So, and then we have our Life and Annuity Academy. If you're familiar with IAMS, you know that we do Life and Annuity Academy roughly probably one a quarter. I don't think that we're going to be doing another one until the spring. The last one that we did was here at our office in Omaha, and it was very successful. It is a 2-day training that we pay for your travel, lodging, and your food. And what we discuss is sales ideas and strategies. We do work with some of our top producers as well as some of our top carriers. We talk about business concepts, advanced life and annuity sales topics, sales software tools. I believe I do have a polling question for our Life and Annuity Academy. Like to make sure that those that are interested, that we get information from them right away. So I'm going to put that up real quick and have you respond if you are interested in the Academy. Make sure to get you additional information on that. I will say that those that have attended the Academy in the past, they've been very successful in adding to their business. It's a nice relationship building, not only just with IAMS, but with other agents. You get to kind of pick each other's brain on things that are working and not working. I highly recommend you attend if you can. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that out. Just a couple of more slides and we'll get started. We do have our Seaside Sanctuary trip. Qualifying period is an 18-month qualification period. As you see here, it's 4.5 million points. I think we have several agents that have already qualified. If you have questions as far as where you stand as far as being qualified for the trip, feel free to reach out to us. We can get you more information on that. As you see, the trip dates are April 14th, 2024 through April 18th. Oh, let me go back. We're not at questions yet. I'm going to go ahead and change the presenter to you, Cole. Do you see that?
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, I do. Let's see. All right, just going to share my screen here. All right, does this have the illustration software pulled up? I can't quite see what I'm sharing. Okay.
Yep, it does.
Perfect. So thank you for having me, Tony. Like you said, my name is Cole Kellen. I'm one of the internal sales consultants here at Allianz. So today I'm going to be going through our illustration software, kind of how to navigate it, how we use it, and then some tips kind of for efficiency. And I guess you can get here through our website. There will be a kind of on the home screen, there will be a button that says create an illustration. So just click that. And this should be the first screen that loads up here. And before we get started here, kind of the first thing that I wanted to touch on was the preferences tab. So this is going to help out a little bit for, like I said, efficiency. When you come into preferences, you can change kind of like what autofills in the illustration software. You'll see what this is going to autofill a little bit later on. But I highly recommend putting in like your first name, last name, address, city, state, and then zip code. Once you fill it in here, it will automatically fill for every illustration that you make, so you don't have to type it in every single time that you make one. You can also change the state, line of business, stuff like that. So this is kind of the first tip for efficiency that I think is underutilized. I mean, I'm on the phone every day with people like, okay, let me put in my producer information. And this is just a quick way where you can make that a little bit faster. So start illustration. I'll just kind of start by going through how we run them. I'll do a typical case here. So line of business, life, we do illustrate by product. You can do product type all. If you're doing annuity, more would pop up. But for life, we just have the IUL. You can change the state here. I'm in Minnesota, so I'll just do Minnesota in this case. And then when you're ready to go, you can just click the blue Life Pro Plus Advantage button. This will bring up the kind of client information here. I have it, or I believe it autofills to valued client. I can change that to the client's name if you have it, date of birth and age. I'd say a pretty typical case for us is maybe 40 to 45. And if you do the birthday, it'll autofill the age, so you don't have to do both. And then you can just hit OK. Typically we leave it at standard. You can give it a specific name if you'd like, switch the gender. And then this is just going to kind of recap what you just input. So the state again, if you made a mistake, you can just hit edit, change the name, whatever you need to do. And what you'll find in our illustration software is that a lot of the stuff that you need to do will actually almost kind of pre-fill for you. So like in this case, risk classification, typically we run them at preferred plus non-tobacco just because of our risk class upgrade program that we have going on right now. And if you're not familiar with that, it kind of gives you a little blurb here. Basically, if they get underwritten at standard non-tobacco or preferred non-tobacco without a flat extra or table rating, they're actually going to get preferred plus non-tobacco. So generally, we'll run it at that. Just kind of moving down here, little reminder, you can click there to learn more. Also, we have our underwriting guidelines kind of linked in here. So I believe if you click this, I don't know if it'll share it if I do, but if you go into the illustration software, I would definitely recommend exploring kind of these two buttons here. Moving on, everything that you're gonna need to do is kind of up here towards the top. So next we'll go to the plan tab. So this one, we're doing a 45-year-old, just a male client. And then like I said, it kind of does pre-fill for you. So tax compliance, you can do guideline premium test or cash value accumulation test. Despite the name, most of the time guideline premium is going to illustrate better for kind of cash value accumulation. So it does default to that. MEC avoidance, this will actually adjust itself as well. Generally, I just leave it at that unless somebody is requesting a MEC or for whatever reason wants it changed. And then getting into kind of the case design part of it, the first option that we have is the premium deposit fund. So if you guys are familiar with that, that's kind of if they want to give us a one-time lump sum payment, and then we'll just put the money aside in almost like an account. The current rate for that is 5%, and then it can withdraw the money anywhere from 3 to 10 years. So annual level premium is going to solve for kind of like it says annual level premium. So if they want to do $100,000, just write us a check tomorrow. Be like, you guys take premium, solve for it. I just want to be done. Just take the check and run. So we'll input the amount there. You can solve for max accumulation. Generally, the sweet spot's going to be 4 to 6 years. And then kind of moving down here for the face amount, we typically do for accumulation type policies, we'll do minimum face. So that's going to solve for the lowest death benefit. And then when I use the premium deposit fund, I kind of like to stop there and just go into the quick view. I'll take note. So it looks like 5 years in this case is going to accumulate the best. There's a few things that you can't solve for. So for example, if you are solving for minimum death benefit, you cannot also solve for the premium amount. You'll have to specify an amount. So anything where it's solving for, I like to just specify it just in case that pops up. So here we go. We've got solving for minimum death benefit, generally increasing. We match to the funding years. So in this case, we're doing premiums for 5 years, so we'll match the increasing period for that long. Can hit add row. One kind of common mistake that we see is somebody will do increasing years 1 through 5 or 1 through 10, whatever the case may be, and they're like, I have this red X, how do I get rid of it? All you have to do is hit add row. You just have to make sure that all policy years are filled in. So for example, they might do 1 through 5 and then add or own do 7 through maturity. Well, that's skipping year 6. So you'll have to go in there and fix that, and then it'll get rid of the red X. But that's a pretty common mistake that we do see, so I wanted to point it out. Kind of moving down here, so it'll be increasing for 5 years, and then the death benefit will drop back down to the guideline minimum when it switches over to level. If you wanted it to drop down to the original amount or keep it to whatever it increased to after those 5 years, you can adjust that here. 1035, an additional first year lump sum information. You can input here if needed. With the premium deposit fund, you can't change the premium amount or frequency in here because it's specified towards the top. And then finally, kind of disbursements. So you can do the type, you can solve for, generally we do income stream unless they have a specific amount that they're looking to withdraw, in which case we do specify amount, but income stream is going to solve for the amount. So then you'll do in the from to through box, you'll want to do, policy year. You could do 21 through maturity, which is going to be, should be age 40, or sorry, 66, and then it'll go all the way till 120. So that's kind of how we use the premium deposit fund. It's a cool feature that we have, but I mean, I think not every case is going to be using it. So I'll just kind of reset here and then we'll get into a typical case. So you can just turn that off. We'll keep it minimum face, max accumulation. Another one is people will try to change this, like for the from to through 1 through 20, it's going to give you an X as well. Has to be all policy years. So it defaults to 1 through maturity. There's no need to change that. So you can see that the scheduled premium box freed up here. That's because we turned off the premium deposit fund. So you can do scheduled premium, you can switch the frequency. So you have annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly. One kind of tip for showing loans a little bit higher is that if you do the premium schedule to annual rather than monthly, it's going to show higher. That's because we do credit off of our average accumulation value throughout the year. So obviously if you pay annually, the first day of the policy year, that average is going to be higher throughout the year. So pretty typical case, I mean, 20,000, I'd say, annual premium for, we'll just do 20 years in this case, it'll bring him to 65. And you can see here, so I'm gonna go back, and by the way, the button that I was using was the quick view, super handy button. You don't have to go and generate a PDF every single time, you can just take a look in the quick view. So 20,000 for 20 years. And I left it at level this time just because I want to show you guys. So if we go to a quick view, you can see the initial face amount is 886,685. And this will bring up kind of like a spreadsheet, if you will, kind of showing the outlay of the policy. So it's going to have the charges, the credits, accumulation value, cash value, death benefit, scheduled premium, all that good stuff. So you can see the initial face amount is 886,685. And the loan amounts are 58,752. Again, all the way until 120. So a few ways that we can make this policy a little bit more efficient, get that loan amount up a little bit. If we go back, you can just X out of the quick view up here. If we do an increasing death benefit for the first 20 years, and then we level it off. Just gonna go back to the quick view, you can hit confirm. You can see that that initial face amount dropped, I mean, $600,000-ish. Same premium amount, but the loans went up pretty substantially. Obviously, with a little bit lower death benefit, more money can go towards the cash value rather than to cover the death benefit. So that's kind of the first way that we make, one tip for making the policy a little bit more efficient. Another one here, if you go down, so we have the disbursement information income stream. If you just switch that to monthly and then go back to the quick view, that made it went from what, 71,000 to about 73,000, so a little bit better as well. I guess, I don't think I can see the chat, but if there's any questions, feel free to type them out and I can address them or take a look towards the end. So that's kind of a pretty basic policy. Tony, was there anything at all?
No, I was just going to say that there are some questions in the chat that I was just going to bring up when you're done. So,
Okay, yeah, we can hold off to the end for sure.
yep,
Thank you for checking.
sure.
All right, yeah, so just kind of moving on here. The Riders tab, generally we don't change too much in here. I think the most common adjustment that we make in this tab by far is going to be taking off the chronic illness rider. And the reason for that, so I guess if we go back to the plan tab here, if somebody did come back at a table rating, it has to be standard. You can't do a table rating with preferred or preferred plus. So standard, table 4. And then we go to the Riders tab. It should come up with a little exclamation point. Here we go. Yep. So it's basically saying table 5 or higher, there's no chronic illness. Sometimes table 4 or table 3 is going to be an exception, I believe, but it will warn you. So you can take that off and then it'll go away. But that is standard built into the policy. So unless they get table rated or flat extra, they'll get that on there. We don't really ever take off the terminal illness, and then the rest of these are just going to be kind of policy specific, whatever the client wants. Kind of moving on here, we have index allocations. So this is a pretty cool page. You can allocate to whatever you want, right? So we have our select 40% multiplier bonus with the 1% asset charge. The bonus 15% multiplier, the classic standard. So one mistake that we see is people will try to change. So we default to the Bloomberg and PIMCO here in the classic bonus. That's what's going to illustrate the best. That's why it defaults to it. But one kind of common mistake that we see is people will try to change it, and they won't erase the first one. So they'll try to do, we want to do 100% the S&P. Well, they want to erase that, and then it'll bring it to 200% in the total allocation percentages. It gives you a little red X. You just got to clear that out, make sure that it's equal to 100%. So as you can see, the assumed rate, the max assumed rate for the S&P point to point is 7.39. If you change it from the Bloomberg and PIMCO to the S&P, these ones are 6.71, this is 7.39. It doesn't automatically change. So that's another thing that we kind of see a mistake on. They're like, hey, this isn't illustrating quite as well as I was looking for. I did these index allocations. You can just hit clear and then it'll fix that. So that's one thing. And then, I mean, in our policies, you can allocate to as many different bonuses and index options as you want. So, you can do 20% Bloomberg, 20% PIMCO in the classic, 20% S&P, maybe 20% in the fixed, and then like 10 in the bonus in each. So as long as it equals 100%, you can allocate however you'd like. And then again, that max illustrated rate is going to be adjusted to whatever you allocate to. Just for this case, and I mean, generally we're going to allocate 50-50 to the Bloomberg PIMCO in illustrations. And you just have to be careful not to go over the assumed rate there, because as you can see, it was like 6.9. It's going to give you a red X. So if it ever has an X, I recommend just hitting clear, and that should take care of it. So you can, like I said, you can illustrate up to the max illustrated rate. You can't go above. So if we try to do 6.72, it's going to give us an error. But if you want to be conservative, be like, hey, I'll show them 5%. You just plug that in there, and it will. It can do that. So you can kind of manipulate that how you'd like. If you want to show them a conservative illustration or the max illustrated rate, however, I guess it's kind of up to personal preference. Just moving on here. Next is the reports tab. So the preferences that I first touched on when we got in here, this is what I was referring to. So I just have mine to trusted agent. I don't ever put my name in here. That's why I don't have my information. But yeah, if you put your information, what's required to actually print the illustration is going to be first name, last name, address, city, state, and zip code. So that's typically what we'll see people kind of default in there. You can definitely do phone number, email if you'd like. But yeah, those ones are required as the first name, last name, city, state, zip code. Next, we've got kind of the options here that you can select. So we've got supplemental illustration, allocation option summary, internal rate of return, and a few others. My kind of go-to, people generally don't like getting a 75-page document. So I always include the supplemental illustration. I always include the allocation option summary, and then I usually do the input summary. I mean, if I'm sending one or two illustrations, I'll typically just hit this and send all of them. But if somebody's requesting, 6, 7 illustrations, generally these, like the riders and benefits and the index performance options, they don't need to see it on every illustration. I'll probably send it on the first two. It's just helps cut down on pages a little bit. It sends a little bit faster. So yeah, input summary, allocation option summary, supplemental illustrations. So I'm just gonna put some spaces in there so I can actually print this up and show you guys what it looks like. It does take a second here. It kind of depends on the Wi-Fi. And Tony, is this still showing the software or is this the PDF format?
It's showing the PDF now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So kind of moving through here, this is the first page that'll pop up. You can see it's 48 pages, still pretty long, but definitely down from the upper ends of 70 if you were to include everything. So it'll say the client's name here if I were to put one in, then your information here. So just kind of scrolling down, a lot of these pages are going to be just kind of informational, so like the supplemental illustration. It'll show you what the different loan amounts and what the different interest rates would look like. So, our max illustrator rate 6.71, 4% generally. So from the quick view, what we were looking at is going to be this page 4, the supplemental illustration. It's called the current scenario, and it's going to basically lay out that spreadsheet quick view that we were looking at on here. So it'll have, the age, policy year, premium outlay, distributions, charges, accumulation value, cash value, and death benefit. So, I mean, most of the time, people are going to want to see how long they're paying for, what their cash value and death benefit look like, and then what loans are going to look like. So this page does a great job of breaking that down all the way from year 1, and then you can kind of keep scrolling. It'll go all the way out till age 120. If for whatever reason it doesn't go out till age 120, that means it's illustrating a lapse, which is not good. We're going to want to take a second look at the design, maybe lower the death benefit or try to identify what could be causing that. But this is a super important page. I mean, we definitely reference this on a day-to-day basis. It's usually what the conversation is kind of geared around when producers call in, or marketers and so on call in. Kind of moving down here, page 7, I like this one. So it's you're going to tell you your allocation options. So we were in the Bloomberg and PIMCO. It tells you what percentage each, and then the illustrated rate. So if you did the S&P here, it would say S&P 100%, 7.39, I think the rate is. So that's going to change with whatever you allocate to. Kind of continuing down here, kind of just telling you the participation rates and whatnot. This is an important one, the policy overview. People often are looking for, it doesn't necessarily point out if somebody has a table rating super well or not, in my opinion. So this page 9 is going to be super important. So proposed insured, it's going to have their name, gender, age, risk class. So if they were standard non-tobacco with the table 5, it would say that here. It also says it up here, but I don't think it says the table rating up here. So page 9, I always like to look at this one just to kind of confirm information. It has the initial death benefit options. So we did the initial one. So we did B increasing to start. Initial term amount, if we did a term rider, that would show up here, and then initial premium. So all of these are important. I really like to look at this one just to kind of get a general overview of the policy. And then one other thing I wanted to point out, so in the bottom right-hand corner, if you guys ever create an illustration, you're running into issues, can't quite figure it out, we do have illustration IDs. So if you were to call in and read this number off to us, we could actually pull it up in our system and take a look and kind of give you some guidance if needed. So it makes it super easy. We don't have to try to get the information over the phone, 40-year-old, this, that, and then the numbers could be off. So it's super easy just to give us this illustration ID and we can get that pulled up. T is going to be target premium. So what commission's based off of, in our case here at Allianz, I don't know how other carriers necessarily work, but the target is going to be found in the bottom right-hand corner here. Kind of continuing the way down here, a lot of these pages are just going to be information. I think these next few aren't necessarily policy specific, but just kind of telling you about Allianz and the company and whatnot, kind of how the policy works. So definitely important, but these aren't going to be illustration specific. Breaks down the bonus options for you. Historical index performances. And then the page I wanted to, and then kind of more breaking down keywords that are used here. And then once you get down to here, it looks like page 23 in this case, it's going to start bringing up some more spreadsheets. So this has the guaranteed scenario. So, like the contractual guarantee, if the world was ending and we had to drop participation rates and pull fees as high as we had to, this is how it would look. We have the non-guaranteed scenario, has the alternate and current scenario. But the page that I wanted to get to here, let me see, it's going to be this one. So policy credits and charges, page 31. This is going to have the credit or the interest loan credit here, the charges, and then any loan charges that you may have. Since we're taking loans for the first 20 years, it's going to be nothing. Accumulation value, cash value, and death benefit. So this is going to be pretty similar to the current scenario on page 4. However, this is going to have the loan charges. So you can see 18,000 year, year 5 of taking loans. And then you can see the credits and whatnot. So I think this is a good page to kind of show how the policy is actually working, rather than, because I believe the current scenario only shows the policy charges and not the loan charges. So definitely another piece to look for here. Again, the policy charges ledger, you can see exactly what those charges are comprised of. It breaks them down. It's a really good page. And then kind of the last one that I wanted to point out was at the very bottom here, page 44 should be, yeah. So it starts at 44, the input summary. So that last checkbox that I selected was the input summary. Just more really good information. It breaks down, make sure that you're doing, you kind of have all the correct information in there. So as a producer, state, the product, the client's information, and then you actually, I believe the input summary is actually required for any issue illustrations. So I always just include it in there. And then again, the index allocation. So if you're ever looking for information, I'd always check the input summary, and then like the page 7, the kind of the allocation options, and then the general overview. But that's kind of the what I wanted to point out, some common pages that we reference in the actual PDF format, as well as like the illustration ID and just a few other things. So, and then again, you can print it right here, download it to your computer, however you like to do it, if you like to do it digitally or on paper. I'm just going to exit out. I know that Paul did a webinar in the past kind of about Insight. So here's the button pops up after you print it. So if you wanted to show an Insight, you could hit that. But then kind of the next thing that I wanted to touch on was, you're probably thinking, okay, I ran the illustration, I downloaded it, what if I need to make a revision? So over here on the left-hand side, case management, you can click that, and this is gonna bring up all the cases that you've run. I guess as long as you hit the print link to illustration button, they'll show up here. For whatever reason, they sort oldest to newest, so I always double click there, and then this will be the most more recent ones up here, kind of getting older as it goes down. So you can see this one right here, I started it at 926, so if we clicked into it, it's the one that we just ran. So if somebody says, hey, I only want to pay for 15 years or whatever the case may be, you can come in here, make any adjustments. I always recommend using the quick view, because like you said, like you saw, that PDF format's a little bit clunky if you're just making a simple adjustment. So that's how you find old case or kind of previous cases that you ran, is just case management. You want to sort the last updated to be most recent, and then they'll all pop up here. But yeah, Tony, that's kind of the bulk. I know that there were some questions here, so I'd be happy to address those.
Sure. All right. So I'm gonna go back to my. You know what? I'm gonna stay on your screen just in case you need to
Okay.
show something right now. First question is, are the policy charges deducted from the income projection?
No. So that'll come out of the cash value, and then the loan amounts are going to be solved for after that. So no, they're not.
Can you go over how you got in the illustration again? The beginning
Yeah,
part?
the software.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have, this is just our website here. I'll log in super quickly. Hopefully the Wi-Fi. Okay, so when you log in, this is what it should look like. It'll say welcome and then your name. If you just scroll down here, there's create an illustration. If you don't have delegate access or like you're not contracted, it probably won't be there. But I would definitely recommend, reaching out to maybe your upline at the IMO to get access. Otherwise, you could call our contracting team. And then if it is like, if you do have delegate access and it's an IT issue, feel free to call in and we can assist with that. But just if you're ever lost on the website, just click Allianz in the top left-hand corner. It'll reload it and bring you to this page. So just hit create an illustration, and then it'll pull up the first page that we were at here. And then product name, client information, that's how we actually got into the illustration.
Awesome. And I have another question here, which I can answer. Is this being recorded? If so, will it be made available? And the answer is yes to that question.
Perfect.
And let's see, we have here another one about being recorded. I think we already addressed this. Are the policy charges deducted from the income projections? We already answered that one, right?
Yes, we did answer that one.
Okay.
And the answer was no, they're not.
Okay. All right. Got that one.
And I know that Paul did kind of a webinar on the sales tools in the past, which you sent me the recording of. But just to kind of import that into Insight, you would just print the illustration and then the link pops up here. So, and if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out. We have kind of an instructional video on that. Otherwise, I'm sure you have the recording of Paul. You could send out a few options there.
Okay. And then there's one about, is there only one IUL product we typically use? I'm just going to reference to Allianz. This is the only IUL product that you guys have, correct?
Correct. Yep. We only have the one IUL at this point in time. But I mean, it's a very competitive product. I mean, we hear a lot of good feedback on it. I don't know how you guys do business, but I mean, if you're not writing much Allianz and you're writing, a lot of F&G Pack Life or whatever, just feel free to give us a call and get an illustration just to see how we compare. We'd be happy to kind of discuss our product and what its strong points are if you're looking for, more options at all.
I will say in all the illustrations that we do, from a cash accumulation perspective, you guys are one of our top carriers that we work with for
Great. And I
cash
know,
accumulation for IULs.
yeah, I mean, a few things that kind of make us stand out is like our illustrations look good, our like Comdesk score, financial strength of the company. I know that we have, I think we're highest or second highest for like target premium benchmark in the industry. There's a few things, but that's good to hear.
All right, I'm going to switch back my screen. Hold on. Oh,
Should I
no.
give you like presenter or anything, or are you all good?
Yep, nope, I'll be able to do that, but I got one more question before
Okay.
that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I got someone that's asking, can you show illustration with an IUL that has upfront contribution in addition to monthly contribution? Is that even
Yes.
possible?
So that's a really good question. And I assume that they're referring to the premium deposit fund. So the answer to that is kind of, right? So premium deposit fund will do annual level premium. Well, I guess the true answer is no, but there is a workaround. So
Okay.
I'll kind of go through that briefly here if we have time. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
We
right,
got time.
perfect. Awesome. So I'll just go through this really quickly. So annual level premium, 100,000. And then I guess if you guys were wondering the lump sum deposit, um, basically that's going to be if they wanted to put in 50,000 every year for 5 years, it's going to solve for the lump sum amount. So 227,000. Generally, we use annual level premium because they know the amount that they want to put in. They want to know kind of what premium outlay will look like. So we've got annual level premium, a lump sum of $100,000. We'll do increasing years 1 to 5, match up the premium outlay with the increasing period. And then we'll just leave loans off for this case. So, and I'll backtrack here for a second. So the question was, how do we show monthly premium on top of a lump sum? So we've got the lump sum in here. As you can see, no monthly premium at all. And to be completely honest, I think this is just kind of an illustration software limitation. So I'm going to show you guys the workaround a little bit. So if you go to the quick view, it'll show you the initial face amount and everything. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take this number here, 21,998. I just copied it. We're going to turn that off and then input that in the annual premium box. And then we'll do 1 through 5. So if they wanted to do, and then I mean, you would have to do some math. So, if they wanted to do monthly, then we could do 21,998 divided by 12. We've got 1,833 roughly. And then you could do, 170. So if you wanted to do, 170 bucks on top of that a month, you could just switch to 2,000 monthly. And that would only be for the first 5 years because the premium deposit fund was only for 5 years. Then you would hit add row, and actually it's 20,000. And then the number that I used was 200 monthly in addition to the premium deposits. You could just do 200. And then 6 through, age 65 in this case. And then we'll adjust this as well. So I guess the answer is yes, you just have to do some math. You'll have to solve for what the amount's going to be of the premium deposit fund, divide it by 12, and then add, if they want to do $500 a month, just add that into the monthly amount.
And then
And
how
then
would
again,
that look on the illustration? Can you show the actual illustration?
yeah, so I'll just put back in the original amount. So this was the original premium deposit fund amount. And I do want to mention when you're doing the premium deposit fund, it's not necessarily doing anything special within the policy in this illustration here. It's really just solving for what the premium outlay is going to be. So if you
Mhm.
take that number and put it in this box, it's essentially going to function the same. You're not going to get the breakdown of the premium deposit fund like you would if you used the premium deposit fund. But here's this. So it would look like 21,998. That's on an annual basis. So like I said, if you did 21,998 divided by 12, we've got 1,833 monthly. And then if we did plus, if they want to do $170, or I'll leave it at this just to keep the numbers a little bit unique. But if you did, just enough to get it up to 2,000 here, you would just put in that amount and then go to the quick view. So it's a little bit confusing. And if anybody has additional questions, feel free to give me a call and I could walk you through this kind of one-on-one because it took me a little bit to learn. But that's how it's done. You essentially just have to solve for the premium deposit account number and then divide it by 12 for monthly and then add whatever the monthly contribution is going to be.
And then from an illustration standpoint, it's going to look like it's just a premium being paid in, even though we've done the premium deposit on the back end.
Correct. Yep. So I mean, the client may ask, hey, why is 21,000, or I guess we can go here, policy year 5. Why is there 109,000 going in when I only paid 100,000? The premium deposit fund's at 5%, so it's taking that into account and adding the interest. So it looks a little bit different than, you know, if you just did 100,000 for 5 years, it's going to be a little bit more if you use the premium deposit fund. So it looks a little bit different, but yeah, that's how you illustrate that.
Okay, I'm going to switch back over to me.
Okay, sounds good.
And just have a couple of polling questions before we close out. So the next polling question I have is, if you'd like more information on what we discussed today, feel free to go ahead and respond and make sure to get that information out to you. Now, I will say that the link will be available on the recording. We'll have the link available here to be able to send out to you if you wanted to listen to the webinar again. So I'll leave this up for a little bit, give everybody an opportunity to answer. All right, and close this out. Now, definitely the most important one, as Cole talked about, as far as getting into the software. If you're not appointed with Allianz, we'd love to get you appointed. So if you're not appointed and you're interested in getting appointed, go ahead and respond to this polling question, and we'll make sure to get contracting information out to you. And I'll leave this up for just a little bit longer. Okay. All right. And lastly, if you have any questions after the webinar, be sure to either reach out to myself or Beth Rickliffs. We're the two life sales directors here at IAMS. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Here's our email address, as well as the 800 number available. And as always, please be sure to like and follow us, whether it be on Facebook or LinkedIn. Cole, you have any parting thoughts?
Not too much. Just wanted to say thank you for having me on here. I hope it was worth the time, and I hope you guys learned something new.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate you taking time out today to go through that. I know that we talk about IULs on a consistent basis now, because people are looking for other means as far as retirement, and Index Universal Life. It's definitely something that they can utilize for, tax-free income. So with that, I
Absolutely.
want to thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say absolutely. It's great to mention.
So again, thank you everybody for attending the webinar. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you.